Okay. Order of business, call to order and roll call. This is the Monday, June 26, 2023, Jackson County Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. So I'll go ahead with the roll call.
David Kendall,
Here.
Abigail Schuler, Daryl DeVore,
Here.
Mike Nickerson,
Here.
and Pete Fish.
Here. Okay, roll call is here. We have a quorum. Second order of business, approval of the meeting minutes from the May 22nd, 2023. Board of Adjustment meetings. There's some draft minutes part of your packet.
And move we approve the minutes as stated.
Have a motion, have a second. Second. Have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of those approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, first order of business tonight is docket 23-12 Corneliuson. Is that right? Corneliuson?
Close enough.
Curtis Corneliuson proposal, the application requested Curtis Corneliuson be granted a special exemption 23 number 12 to build in a district of its own inside the required rear setbacks. The required rear setbacks from the attached structure in A1 zoning is 30 feet. And the setback being requested is no less than 19 feet and no greater than 15 feet. That sound correct?
Yes.
Okay. Here, Curtis?
Yes. Long time no see.
Thought you looked familiar. Building all kinds of things.
Well, yeah, me and Lori had a miscommunication. I didn't know to ask and she didn't realize, so we were building I guess, just going to, lower doors are building a shed, got the variance, and I was under the impression it was 5 foot or 15 foot from the property line. Well, it's attached structure we're gonna build either this fall or next spring. So it's gonna be a 3-car garage with living quarters above it. Didn't realize till when get permit, that attached structure is 30 feet. So we're gonna be, roughly, 19 to 20. I'm just gonna play it safe and ask for 15 just to make sure it's gonna make some changes into the foundation or something. So it's gonna be right next to the current shed. We just starting to put on.
Gotcha. All right, can we roll up to the picture that you provided as part of the package? I think it's pretty clear once you see the picture. There it is.
Yeah, the current shed right now, we tore down and moved it back just a little bit. So that shed to the right, that's the shed, like I said, we tore down, moved back. And the addition is gonna be, the red lines there.
Kind of a diamond shape there.
Yeah, yep, it's gonna 45 off the current house.
Got it.
So,
And you would think of the setback on what direction is that north?
yeah, yep, that'd be north.
As about, it's listed about 19 feet right now, but
Yeah, yep, that was, roughly we haven't, went out there and put on the ground. We're just, I wanna get stuff rolling since we're going through the process, get it done. So we're gonna do it within the year. So, like I said, just that we got it laid out perfect. We can't really go too much more with the shed there. So, like I said, we're doing 42 foot deep, with the rooms upstairs. I wanna make sure in case we gotta change something structurally, if we gotta go back or more or make something happen, we got a little extra place. So going to come back in here. Yeah, it's all flat. There's no drop off or anything. The addition is gonna be all flat and pasture to the north and west and crop field to the.
if you scroll to the next page, I think there's a wider view pictures, a couple of them there, in more perspective. There they are. So Mr. Kilburn looks like owns all the properties surrounding that.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, he was okay with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay. Any other new issues, the difference? Then you said no less than 15, no greater than 19, so the closest we would get to the property is 15.
I'll just say yes, yeah, closest we're gonna get is 15, so.
Okay,
How far move that shed back? Cause that variance for the side, wasn't it? It wasn't. for-
Yeah, it was the side. So actually, if you show that other one, the two corners are gonna pretty much line up, the current, the new shed on that right corner, so. Yeah, it's like 12 foot or so on the west side of the shed, roughly 12 to 15 foot, so.
And the rear setback on an accessory structure is less than on an attached structure to the dwelling. That's why he can get so close to that rear property with that, detached structure.
all right. Any other thoughts from requesters? No, pretty straightforward. Okay, any staff reports on this?
No, but thanks for, yeah, because both of us were like, oh, no. Yeah, because I didn't realize they were getting that close to the property line, and he didn't realize it wasn't 5 feet.
I'll say, yeah, I just figured it was, the 5 foot setback that we were dealing with, so I didn't worry about it, even ask about it, so.
Yeah, but when he submitted his application for the zoning permit, it's like, oh. So, it's like, let's just get him back in here this month and make it part of that other application, just phase 2.
Okay, very good. Any other questions from the board members? Thoughts? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Anyone in the audience, any comments on this particular project? Okay, I take it that's waving, no, I have no comments. All right, at this point then, if nothing from the audience, need a motion to close the public hearing. I'll make the motion to close the public hearing. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, public hearing is closed. Any thoughts, gentlemen? Yeah, went down this road once before, and just a little different dimensioning, but. Okay. No other questions by the board. I would consider a motion on this proposal.
I move we approve special exception 23-13.
That's 12.
Oh, excuse me, 23-12.
23-12. I'll second that. I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Awesome. Have at it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, get with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get with me and we'll get that issued, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you. Would you consider, jumping to a different case? Mr. Kilberg's on his way, but had a flat tire.
Okay,
So, if I could make a recommendation, I would jump to Peters. Because I know that, the other one after Kilberg's gonna probably take a little more time, and that way we can get the Peters family out of here. And on their way.
Docket 23-15, Peters.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody find that in your book. All right, 23-15, Peters, the application has that Corey and Brittany. Brittany, is that Brittany. Okay. Corey and Brittany Peters be granted variance number 23-15 to build a new addition to their existing home inside the required rear setback. Rear setback no greater than 16 feet is being requested, or a minimum of 30 is required in the one zoning district. And you are Corey?
Yep.
Okay. And then we start talking about it. I was looking at pictures here. So yeah, give us a kind of a high level view what you're
It's
trying to.
basically just a straight addition right out the back of my house, 12 foot out and 30 foot wide. Just a square.
Okay.
I was gonna get the aerial on this one.
And you're along Highway 62.
Belden.
No, okay.
Just west of town, about half mile.
Yeah.
This one's, okay.
The lot, if I can add a little bit for you guys, is kind of, has a peculiar situation. It's long and narrow, so there's a lot of frontage. And it's got a hill coming up from the road. When they built their house, they actually had to get a variance for the rear setback by about, I think, 26 foot instead of 30, 25 instead of 30. So it was a difficult build, just the way that front sloped. And then the narrowness of the lot to get the setbacks.
So the steep slope is from Highway 62 up to the house.
Yep.
Right, that's why it's set way in the back.
Yeah,
First flat piece of ground then.
basically the whole yard, big hill.
Okay,
And the only flat spot I got is behind the house right now.
And the house is built on grade. It doesn't have a basement.
okay. All right, so the house is sitting kind of in the northeast corner of that property, that's the right direction.
Yep.
And so is that a swimming pool in the back?
No, it's a trampoline.
Oh, okay. So that trampoline comes out, and that's kind of where you're thinking.
Yeah, basically right there. It's gonna be a 20-foot gap. Where that garage sticks out to the north. I want a 20-foot gap in between there and the new addition. Yeah, right there.
And the air addition is 30 feet.
Yeah. And I just want to go 12-foot out.
You say the addition is 4 feet deep? How deep is the addition?
I wanted a 12-foot out from the house and 30-foot wide.
So I just pulled out about 12. I can't get exact on this. And then if I go back from there and pull out. I'm right at 25 feet. So they'd be for 12 minus 25. You get 13 foot setback. How does that work with re-gauging? Oh, wait, no, never mind. That's right, your fence line, this drawing was off. So
Yeah,
we were, okay,
16.
basically, I measured it. I think I got it pretty straight and it was like 21 to 22 foot away.
okay. Yeah, because I forgot that our aerials were off on this one and your property line's actually a fence line.
Mhm.
Is that not correct? So that's right, I had to compensate for that, so yes. That's,
And we just said 16 to be on the safe side.
okay,
So it's from the proposed deck northwest corner to the property line is that 16 feet, the setback that we talked about there.
Yep.
Okay. Of course, then it gets greater as you move to the northeast. And based on the pictures, what's sitting behind there, property owned by Carl William and Whitney Jane Trenkamp?
Yep.
So have you talked to them about this at all?
Yeah, I talked to everybody around me. Nobody has a problem.
there's letters in the packet from the neighbors.
And I see the Whitney's and someone like here,
And, down my Amplifying sinus.
Sinus, there we go. Okay,
And that's a letter from you guys then, and then Don Mueller.
Yep.
Okay.
all right, any other thoughts? No, okay, very good, thank you. Anyone from the audience have comments on this particular subject? Seeing none or hearing none? I would vote or ask for a motion to close the public hearing. So moved. And a motion, I'll second. And a second. Any other comments or thoughts? All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Consideration by the board.
If you want me to pull anything up specific, please let me know.
Just one question, these pictures of the back of the house with the structure, that's kind of the proposed dimensioning. these guys here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
yeah, that's just a rough idea of
Yeah,
it.
roughly where it's gonna be, yep. We talking about that. Yeah, it looks like he just templates in there. Any thoughts, gentlemen, any issues? Okay.
I move we approve docket number 23-15.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments by the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, 23-15 has been approved. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just get with me or have Brittany get with us and we can start getting that permit issued, okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
All right,
Thanks.
we'll head back to the second one on the agenda.
Yes, please.
See Mr. Gilbert,
Hi,
like
Mike.
his tire fixed and he's in there.
I did get it fixed. I got a different vehicle and other guys changing it for me.
Oh.
What about the Caves Road, were you?
No,
Oh,
right by Brandenburg Drainage there, between here and Preston.
now there's a record of for a house, so I think someone. All right. Next. Okay, docket 23-13, BHK Real Estate. Is that correct? Leslie Gilbert. The proposal is an application request that BHK Real Estate be granted special exception to 23-13 to operate a small two-site campground as special exception use in the A1 zoning district. They propose to have 2 camper sites on the property along with a single family. So if you would, come on up and just tell you what you
Yeah, thank you guys again for your time. Apologize for recording this again. Me and my wife Jenna, 2 good friends of mine with their wives, Christopher and Becky Dirks, Rob and Darcy Haig, all of us local, purchased the Sevilla Welcome Center about 2.5 months ago now from the county. It had sat idle and it was for sale, been for sale, and us all being local, didn't want to see it go into something we didn't want to see. We want to continue to keep promoting tourism and be the whole spot we are here in Jackson County, the Mississippi River. So we bought it. We're in the process about a month and a half out of being able to turn it into a weekend rental, Airbnb. I think there's enough motorcycles through Sevilla, got the beautiful river. Fishermen, they're doing 2 huge projects, one in Green Island, one on Middle Lake. The Corps of Engineers is small, tens of millions of dollars. So we bought it and we want to promote tourism back to the county. The same original intent the building was built for in 1989. Along with that, with the Sevilla campground, the Bellevue campground, 2 Bellevue campgrounds that are owned by the county, typically being flooded. Their one major issue is flooding. The whole beginning of the season, as everybody knows, campers were locked out. The Sevilla campground fills up very quickly, especially on holiday weekends like the one coming up. And also there's a height restriction in the Sevilla campground with the railroad bridge that you gotta wonder, a lot of newer, bigger campers can't make it under there. So our plan is to, in the top kind of northwest corner there was a playground equipment and pea gravel. Just to put in 2 primitive campsites, that way if the campground in Sevilla and Bellevue are closed down, people still want to get out with their families, they got a place they can come apart. We're not gonna give them any electrical hookup, no sewer hookup. And there will be a spigot, but they will have to run a hose from the single family dwelling if they need excess water, want to water their dogs, their kids playing in the pool or whatever. So, and Lori can probably explain it better. The zoning, it wasn't big enough. If it was zoned R1, we would have been vying for the 2 primitive campsites with the house, but it falls short of the 2-acre requirement for the A1.
You
Sorry,
would
yes.
not have.
Would
been
not
with
have.
our-
So we're asking for the A1, it sits on 1.5 acres of property, I'm sure everybody's familiar with it, right on the corner. I would say these more.
Can I bring a little history in?
Please.
Because, okay, so they went to the commission back, what, April, March?
March.
Okay, so they went to
Closed
the
April, yeah.
commission, because this had been zoned commercial. And we knew what their goal was with the property, knew that best case scenario, it would be zoned res. But, with what they wanted to do with it, with the campsites, that kicked it out of the res class. So we did the board chose to do, well, the commission chose to make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that it be zone ag, even though it falls short of the minimum 2-acre requirement. So that went through. So the next step was the special exception for the 2 campsites.
And so why did they leave it commercial?
They did not leave it commercial.
But why not?
Single family dwelling use is not
Okay,
a
so-
permitted use within the
Okay.
C zoning.
So now it's a single family dwelling in A1,
Correct,
okay, on less than 2 acres.
correct.
Okay.
Which there's a few of them out there.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing we have set up for us, county built a beautiful parking lot for us for all the people, so there is. We really don't got to, other than remove some old street lights, there isn't a whole lot to do, but other than put down a little line and put it, and again, this isn't a deal breaker for us, we're gonna continue to move forward. This is just a way for us to bring a little more tourism dollars and tourism, we think, into the county. We're able to have the two campsites along with the weekend or Airbnb, whatever you want to call it. It's gonna be a very nice Airbnb, sleep anywhere from 2 people to 12 people. If you guys had never been in it, but we're pretty much done with the top floor gutted. We're working on the main level, putting in kitchen, king suite, 3 new bathrooms, 3 new sets of showers. We had the plumbing, septic was not up to par. County sold it to us as is. We just got that up to par. So again, we're hoping to around August 1st, August 15th, have kind of a little grand opening. We are friends with all the neighbors. There was concern when we bought it. They showed up for that, found out we were bought it. We're very happy. So get along with all the neighbors. There isn't a house, an actual house probably Sabila is the closest house. A mile away, so
And the campsites would go near where the lights are?
right where the mouse is, yeah, right there.
Okay.
It's bigger than, I mean, it's bigger than it looks, lengthwise, yeah.
Is there a fence on that northwest boundary?
There is a fence there, yeah, and we helped, the fence was very overgrown, the power comes in through there, and we just had a professional cutter come in and clear that whole fence, we've already lost power twice. And the fence was in bad shape, so we just, this Red Peterson behind us.
So both the northwest and the northeast are fenced, right?
The
Both, where
no, the backside isn't, can I walk up there?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, the actual plat is wrong, the county had to survey it because of a neighbor dispute, and it comes actually in our favor. We actually, there's a property pin, there was a new survey, the property pin is right here and right here, and then it comes across, so this is, Terry McCullough, Red Peterson's, property. We actually have to come across a bit of hers, and then she has to come across a bit of ours, so we just signed a verbal contract that we're never gonna have any issues with it, but this line is actually right up here.
Is there a new survey that I should be looking for?
It was a plat of, it's recorded, I can get it, it's a plat of retractment, but they put in retracement, they put their pin, there's a pin in here, and about right where that.
A plat of retracement does not, is really not a legal document
Okay.
without it being recorded and going through the whole platting process.
Okay,
So that's one of those things we don't recognize.
okay,
So it's, who did it for you?
the county did it,
The county did it?
yeah, the county had to do it before they sold it to us, because there was a
Yeah.
disagreement, yeah.
Okay, I'm defaulting it in back there.
Yeah, no, I did,
Yeah.
and I didn't know it wasn't legal, I guess,
Yeah,
or whatever. but
Because
that-
it really doesn't resolve the land dispute.
And
without
we're
it.
good with, like, Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about
yeah,
that.
and we're good with the
Okay.
landowner, I mean, said we've known each other our whole lives, everybody in the parties have known each other. There was just a little bit, they didn't know who was gonna buy it, they didn't want someone in there that they didn't know or trust, so
Okay,
everything's good, but yeah, the way the markers are laid out, the new pins, that line's about 40 foot,
okay.
closer to Seville.
On the campsites, then, is there a fee attached with if someone wants to park there overnight?
20 to, yeah, everything at $20 to $30 a night. There'll be a fire pit and a pad and just a spot for people to go, like I said, mostly when, and I don't wanna take money away from the county, but I've talked to Nate Jones on the conservation and he's all for it too. Like, we want people to use Sevilla and Bellevue, but when that's flooded or overflowing or whatever, we would just like a little small extra place for them to go.
So without fences, how are you gonna keep the people from trespassing on Macaulay's land?
We could put up a fence, but she would have to physically open to get it up to her land, so yeah, I don't, yeah. I mean, it's a cornfield on her side, on the timber side and up the road, up the backside, that fence keeps
Right.
going, but it'd just be that, there's a ditch there, and this would probably be up. Right here would be probably the only spot they'd be able to go to, and it's growing, I mean, in the summer, it's growing up with weeds, I doubt anybody go there, and then in the winter, that's, just a cornfield that everybody has access. The state don't have no fences around the right of way of theirs either, so there's multiple spots there, I guess.
And Lori, I'm asking because I'm not sure, by them charging a fee for those parking spots and those campsites, is that legal within the zoning and the ordinances of?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't know that it's an issue. I haven't
Okay.
been told it was an issue.
All right.
And if there would ever be an issue, I mean, we would shut it down. If the campsite was gonna cost us an issue with the neighbors a year or two down the road, we would abandon it. I mean, for 20 or 40 bucks a night, it's not making us a whole lot of money. We're just looking at trying to bring tourism back into the county.
Where's the septic field for that facility?
Way over on the other side.
Over on the southwest side.
Yeah, we spent about 6 days clearing all this. The septic just got overgrown. This is the old. septic
Okay.
system. Yeah.
Any other comments, Mr. Gilbert?
No, appreciate you guys' time.
All right, any more questions?
I want to be clear that the residents you're talking about is the Airbnb. Nobody actually lives there.
No, no one's ever, no, it's gonna be just a weekend short term, rental, week or less rental, yeah.
Which does fall within the R1 and A1 zone, is a single family dwelling, so we cannot distinguish or delineate against owner occupied, a renter, or a short-term renter. So it all is still part of that single family dwelling. And there's no requirements in this that it has to be owner on premise.
Any other questions?
Does it change at some point if they put sewer hookups, electrical hookups? Or does that?
The difference there would be, they'd be spending some time with Elizabeth to make
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, right now, we're just, I think, big enough for what we have now. I think our plumbers actually step work.
Okay.
And it would require.
Yeah, and we looked into the cost,
It never.
we have
paid
to
for
charge
itself.
$200 a night in order to make it feasible, so. We found they can dump in Sevilla for $3, I think they can dump in Bellevue for $4 or $5, otherwise they said they can stop at any truck stop on the interstate for like $10, so it's gonna be in the contract that they have to stop somewhere. And I see a lot of people are traveling with motorhomes now, but renting Airbnbs, so it might just be someone passing through and has a motorhome, they park there, but then they rent out the whole house too, so.
All right,
And just so you know, in our ordinance for the special exception use under, agricultural, privately operated recreational lodges, campgrounds, and then it goes on to a few other things. So that is part of the allowable use. Which would probably indicate there is a fee.
all right, any other questions by the board? Okay, then any with any comments? Hearing none, okay. I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
1 second. I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, for discussion. Any thoughts, any concerns? The parking spots for trailers or motorhomes?
That very thing.
So really, the exemption is because it's less than 2 acres. Is that the way, am I understanding this correctly?
No, he's actually for a special exception, for the campground. The 2 acre thing was already taken care of by the zoning commission. So basically a special exception, the only special exception he's asking for from you guys is to be able to operate a private campground on that A1 zone parcel.
Yeah, I read it on page 5, if you want to, more about. I think
Page
it's
5, number 8.
Number 8. Oh, page. Great, it talks about special exception uses and structures, it talks about campgrounds.
Yeah, and number 4 is where it starts about the special exceptions under ag. And then above it, it gives the permitted uses.
Falls within the guidelines. Okay, any other comments? Motion?
Make a motion, we approve special exception 23-13.
Okay, we have a motion, any other discussion, or a second? Second. Motion and a second. Other further comments by the board, questions? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, docket 22-13 passes. Good luck.
Thank you guys again so much. Ruth and Lori too, do a great job for you guys. Upstairs, they're amazing to work with. So.
Thank you. I'm trying to, let me call me.
Yeah, we're in no, like I said, we're a month or 2 out, so we're in no hurry, but I'll probably be up this week for titles anyway, so I'll just.
We could stop in your website.
Yeah, it's good. We're gonna have a big open house in August here, so we'll make sure you guys get an invite. Please come down and check it out. Thank you.
All right, the last one on the docket tonight is docket number 23-14. The proposal by Mike Meyer is to be granted special exception number 23-14 to operate a home industry. They propose to operate their electrical contractor business on site. Business activities include, but are not limited to, storing work equipment, vehicles, and supplies for its electrical and electrical contracting business. Equipment will be stored inside buildings and outside buildings. Home industry is a special exception in the A1 agricultural zoning district. So, Mr. Meyer?
Yes, I'm Mike Meyer and with Meyer Electric in Bellevue. And, yeah, I'm interested in purchasing the Bob and Derlin property. I'm interested in building a new home on the property. And then to the left of the new home, I would build a shop area and an additional building for storage of equipment that we own, like trenchers and mini excavator trailers. I'd also put several service trucks. So I have one building that I'd like to have as a shop area and a craft area.
How big would your accessory building be?
Well, so the shop building I'm thinking is gonna be 40 by 60 with a 40 by 40 like it'll be like L-shaped. And then I would have an additional building like a WIC building that would be 40 by 60 or something like that, 40 by 100. To put, equipment, machinery in them. The main building would be for office area and shop, and then the other building would be for storing trucks and vehicles and stuff. I do have a couple of photograph pictures of a house and a building around that I've seen that I like. I don't know if I can pass them around. Can I do that?
Yes, Mike, would you like them to pass those
Yeah,
around?
by all means, please do. And again, you're looking at purchasing the Van Dremlin,
Van Dremlin.
and Dremlin property.
Are you already under contract with them?
So we have a purchase agreement and then the closing isn't until 6.
Okay, July.
And how many acres are you purchasing?
So there's 25 total and I'd be purchasing all 25.
And that's the previous picture, the blue shaded trapezoid, I think that.
It's this, and this.
Oh, okay, all three of those, got it. Well, I had the opportunity to drive by that last week, as I was picking strawberries at Dave's business, and went by that. It appears to be a very steeply inclined piece of property. So where on this property would you find some flat ground to build all this?
Well, I'm gonna be kind of up, so Billy Restrover's house is to the right, so I'd be to the left of that, and I wanna be kind of up by the tree line, up by the timber area. We're gonna have to do some excavating and so on, and, I'd like to put the house to the right and the shop to the left. And so, there is kind of a, it's kind of a hump in there, but, I think we can manage it.
Lori, can you go to the previous picture that has kind of the closer view? 'Cause
The
when
one
I
that you
looked
have
at
on
it-
your sheet,
Yeah, it's the very first picture on your feed.
this one?
Yep. Just blow it up a little bit. Because when I looked at it, I was looking up the hill, I stopped and looked and said, okay, where are you gonna build this thing? Because it didn't appear to have a lot of flat ground, so could you kind of indicate on the picture where you think these buildings are going?
So I'm anticipating, here's Billy Restrover's house, so I'm anticipating having a house here and a shop area would be over here somewhere. And then I would also have a cold storage building, maybe that for, so probably in a row kind of up above it.
Yep. On the higher elevated ground from the road, obviously, but
And then, while you're still up there, Mike, where would your access to the property be?
So currently, I would too short. I can come in here about, I don't know, go a little bit more, right about there and then split off and then head kind of up there, kind of like this. Okay.
and then is that a private driveway leading into the spots?
Yes, Scouts have an easement onto this property for the driveway. It's a sharing agreement.
So the Van Brimlen property owns where the road sits. And then the Scots have an easement over the Van Brimlen property to access their house.
There is an easement there. Before we could build 40 years ago, my grandpa and grandma owned the property. And before we could get a dime to move a tree, we had to have a permanent easement, and that was issued between Harold and Agnes Butchen and us, and it's recorded in the courthouse, so we have an easement.
It's documented on the plat in front of
Yeah.
you.
We have a definite easement that we can't, the road's gotta stay so wide. And it can't be changed.
Right, so
We are currently 50-50 agreement with Van Dribblen on road maintenance. Anything that needs to be done, they pay half and we pay half. And that's what's recorded in the easement.
And that's worked for the last 40 years.
Pardon what, Dave?
That's worked pretty much for the last
Yeah.
40 years.
Yep. We pretty much do all the maintenance and take care of it. When we need gravel, we let them know they pay for it.
Okay.
then with the transfer of the sale, possibly then that easement stays intact.
It's supposed to stay intact, yes.
Whoever buys.
It's shown to be a permanent easement. I don't
Yeah.
see that ever being an issue.
Okay.
It's on the plat.
So it was surveyed on the plat when you built your house at that time. Is that-
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a
It's on
current
the plat.
survey or a old survey?
This is a 2003 survey that was done by Peg's mom before he started selling off the
Oh,
different
okay.
plats in there. So that was a plat that was done in 03 by Paul Bradshaw, and it broke off, I think, lots I, J, K,
Yeah,
I
I
don't remember.
understand now. Okay.
Mike, I have two questions about your electrical contracting business. You know, residential, commercial, industrial, all electrical needs, and
All three, yep.
then about how many pieces of equipment are you thinking about moving in and out on a daily basis or storing here?
Well, we have a total of 6 employees, so I guess we'd have 6 people coming to work, and then we'd have 4 to 6 service trucks going out. Other than that, we have a mini excavator on a trailer and a trenching machine, and a few cars, but nothing, no big stuff, I guess.
And then those 4 service trucks take off in the morning and then spend 8, 10 hours somewhere and come back and they in a park.
Yep, and depending on what we're doing on any particular day, you know, we could be doing 1 or 2 hour projects, so, you know, sometimes we come and go, some days we'll go on the entire day, you know, so it all depends on what we're doing on any particular day.
So when you say service trucks, are these bucket trucks? Or-
Well, we have 1 bucket truck and the rest are just regular Chevy 3/4 ton pickup.
But electrical stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what would you be storing outside?
Well, if I make my second building large enough, I would probably put everything. You wouldn't have it.
Everything would be inside.
Everything would be inside 1 building.
Okay,
The only thing I would be storing outside is if, you know, cars or pickup trucks didn't fit inside the building for some
Right.
reason or another. But I may have a couple of vehicles. I guess during the daytime, you might have, you know, employee vehicles outside. But throughout the nighttime, I'd anticipate putting mostly everything inside the building.
For your driveway from the access road to your buildings and houses, is that going to be gravel or paved?
I think I want to eventually pave it. It may be gravel for the first few years, but eventually I would pave it.
At the looks of things, you're talking several hundred feet of paved driveway then up to the buildings.
Certainly.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Meyer? I guess I do have one other question. Why this spot? Why not somewhere closer to town versus out here in the country?
So, I've looked for years to find a spot, and this is one of the first ones that come along that actually will work for what I'm anticipating on doing.
And
and so you don't need 25 acres to do what you're doing, but 25 acres is the size of the parcel.
That's what comes with this.
Crow flies, he's about 2 miles from town.
And similar things on that road, you have like, Dave Meyer Construction. Anything else like that on there?
I think that's to the best of my knowledge.
You have the new camping park.
Well, that's on 407, but yeah,
Yeah, okay.
because that's gonna sit in here somewhere, let me see.
And there's a writing stable business just to the southwest that I found. Because my GPS took me into their driveway.
Oh, really? I don't even know where that one is.
Just keep going down the road a little bit to the southwest.
Harry's?
More than likely.
Harry.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, got it.
nice lady came out and greeted me and said, "Oh yeah, you passed." This isn't it.
This is a couple of photograph pictures of a house and a building that I kind of liked. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to be aiming for.
So Dave, you mentioned there's another business along this road, construction company.
Yeah, there's,
Okay,
used to be Dave Meyer Construction, it's Bobby Meyer Construction now. It's right there,
where'd I get it? Oh, right here.
yeah.
That's how far away, just half a mile or so.
A little, probably a mile.
So Mike, on that, the shop would be masonry and not a steel shed?
Yes, yeah, I've planning for a brick building, and the second building is basically just a WIC building to store trucks and equipment in. That would be just a WIC building. But the main shop area along with the office would be that brick building.
Okay. And there's that's. Oh, Bobby Myers. How is that, Lori, how is that classified? Is that a home industry?
I have no idea.
Okay,
Some of our old stuff,
Bob,
you know, unless I have to look it up, it takes some time
okay, that's
to
fine.
look, but I haven't. I don't know how they did it, or if it was one that was there before zoning was ever incepted and was
Yeah,
legally non-conforming.
It was probably grandfathered in. It's been there for a long time.
That could be, and that would have been July of 76 when the zoning laws were first implemented. And then evolved,
That was there before then.
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Lori, can you go back to the picture that's kind of got the close up of the property? I had a question, are there trees lining the driveway almost all the way up to the Scott residence, and then there's a break, is that a fairly?
No, that's not trees. There's no trees, that's just,
It's a drainage ditch.
it's a ditch.
Yeah.
It's a ditch, it's spring water runs down
All right, so there's no trees there, the only trees are on the south part there, is indicated. Okay. So to get a home industry, the home has to be built first, right?
He has to be living in the home. They could probably be built simultaneously, but before it could be ran or operated, he would have to be living in the home.
Can I ask a question? Does a home have to be a home and not part of a house?
That is considered a home,
That is considered a home, okay?
but I don't think that's your thought, correct?
I'm not planning on building a house, so, yeah, no,
No living quarters in your shed?
I'm gonna have a separate house, so.
Well, that's a shed house.
Well, that's what some people call it, yeah.
So.
It's just a house with high eaves.
Oh,
That's
okay.
separately from that.
I was heard that term before.
I've been in some $1 million houses.
And building a house next year, is what you said that night when you were out.
Well, that was what I didn't know that I couldn't do that originally,
Okay.
but that's what I had thought about. I had thought about that originally.
Okay.
So it's a regular single family dwelling home, something like that.
That is correct, yeah. So, yeah, she's right. When I first started this, I didn't know I had to build a house first. I was gonna build the shop first and then build the house later. But we gotta do it the other way around, and that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. All right.
Any other comments, Mr. Meyer?
I think,
Or any other questions for Mr. Meyer?
Well, is there a limit on how many employees in the home industry and?
Home industry does not. Home occupation does, but he's not running, it's not a home occupation the way, well, here, let's go to the definitions real quick.
Page 37.
Okay, so home occupation is allowable use in A1. All right, so home occupation, not to be confused with home industry. So that has to be entirely within the dwelling or accessory or customary accessory building carried on by a member in the household and secondary use to the property and does not employ more than one person. Home occupation, not home industry. So the home industry that's why it's special exception use under A1 and not permitted use, because you're not limited to one employee. And, but it has to still be done. One of the people running it has to be an owner or has to live in that house. So that's carried on by a member of the family residing in the dwelling unit. So that's the other part of that explanation. Secondary use to the residential property produces no offensive noises, vibration, smoke, dust, heat, or glare rendering premises objectionable or detrimental to the character of the neighborhood. And then there's also another classification or definition for home occupation farm, which this doesn't fall under. That's, like the person that's doing the strawberry patch or something like that, which is permitted use.
As agriculture.
Yeah,
Under the home industry, then there's a limit on number of vehicles that can be stored or parked or in and out of.
Under home industry,
Is he applying under home
excuse
industry?
me, home industry, no, home occupation, I believe it's yes. Hang on here, because I think home occupation is no outdoor storage,
But we're talking about home industry.
we're talking home industry, so, yeah.
Similar to what we've got like at Fredericks up in, Tatumor, Prairie Springs.
So do you anticipate this business growing exponentially and having 10 more trucks in 5 years? Or I mean, I'm sure you'd like to, but where do you think you're going with this?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know that. I can't predict the future.
Right.
So,
But at this point, you have 4 service vehicles and a couple trailers,
situation, yeah.
Okay.
Do you always have 6 employees?
4 to 6, 4 to 6 to 8, depending on, in the summertime, we have more summer help, of course. In the wintertime, it all depends. So it all depends on what we got going on, you know, as far as projects and that kind of thing. So we do have extra guys at times, depending on the workload. So,
So 362nd is a paved road, it's the Springbrook to Bellevue Highway, so it's got a lot of commercial traffic on it already.
It does, and also you'll find in your packets, the letter that the Board of excuse me, not the Board of Engineers, the county engineer had sent, they did, which is part of the special exception guidelines, they have to check out the area to make sure that there's no issues with safety. And let me,
So they wanted to change the back slopes of something.
yeah, that is part of the letter, that so that driveway was put in before there was an ordinance. So the slope isn't where they would want it to be. It's legally non-conforming right now, and I have spoke to Mike about this. He wants it to an 8-to-1, is that what the letter says? Okay, and I don't know what that means, so I just know that it's not what they want, so.
It has to be re-rated a little bit to see.
And that was one of the recommendations of the engineer's office. And if you guys saw it fit, if you did choose to grant the variance, that might be one of the conditions that you would add to your.
we're gonna be doing plenty of earthwork, so whatever it takes to fix it, we'll fix it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I was reading this, and I guess I'm wondering why would it be Mr. Myers' responsibility? Is it the public road with the?
It's
slopes
more
are
the,
not consistent with
it's
public
more the
design?
easement, I don't know, that'd be a question for the engineer. But typically, like if I was building a driveway to my home, I'm the one putting it in and not the county.
Right.
But I have to, get a deep enough culvert, enough width and everything to meet their current standards.
Okay, yeah, it's a little ambiguous. Recommend that the owner flatten the entrance side slopes to a minimum requirement from 8-to-1. So that the owner flatten the side entrance slopes.
I think Peggy has a kind of a question.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's 2 culverts there. At one point, when we built our house there and Grandpa had the road and stuff, there was a bridge, a wooden bridge. And obviously that got old and obsolete, and I thought that was the county's. And so we asked the county about putting a new tube in there. And, they come out, yeah, and that is not the county's tube, so the big tube that got replaced. The bridge got tore out and a big 3-foot tube or better got put in by Van Driblins, they put it in. And the county has got a tube in front, there's a small tube.
About 12-foot diameter.
Not 12 foot, 12 inches.
12 inch diameter.
In front of that one, and so that's where the water from comes off the road, whatever, goes and sits in the ditch there. And that's the county's tube right in front of the bigger culvert. And,
And so whatever is beyond that small tube is the landowner's responsibility. I mean, that's.
yeah, and so like the bigger
Even
one.
more so
The front one is the county's, and I don't, in most of the time, you don't even know that front one is there, you know, if you guys just drive by, you probably didn't even notice, is what I'm saying.
Okay. So with this letter from Jaden is saying that the owner is responsible for flattening those slopes, okay? And you understand that?
And that's fine. Like I said, we're gonna be doing all kinds of earthwork there, so we can fix anything they want.
I'd like to make one more comment. I don't think this should be granted because it's not safe. It's on that corner. We've
There's been
had,
accidents on that corner.
we've had numerous accidents on that corner. We've had 2 fatalities on that corner. And I don't think we need the extra traffic in and out of there on that curve.
And I appreciate that. If you hold that, Jeff, for a second.
Okay,
We'll open it up for public comment here in a second. Mr. Meyer, any more comments for?
That's all I have.
All right, or any more questions?
On right now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Meyer. And then obviously we have some interested parties in the gallery here, so whoever would like to go first, come up and identify yourself.
First, I have a copy of, Jen and Brett's letter that they said they got.
They've received it, it's all in their packets.
Okay, all right,
And it was emailed to them before the meeting this morning.
okay. We got our letter finished late, so.
They haven't, not, yeah, they got it, but of course, they didn't get it ahead of time to be able to go through it.
Okay.
And you are,
Joyce.
I think I saw your letter. Yep. We paid this.
Yep.
All right, we're good.
Okay, so.
that driveway, might as well go on the driveway first. There's 2 other residents there. That's them guys and then Griffin. And him, right off. And adding him, there's gonna be a lot of traffic. Like Peggy says, there's been accidents there, right where we are. They go down that stretch, it's a mile stretch or something. And they just speed, and then all of a sudden they can't make that turn. They went into our culvert, that was one, I don't know what the other one was.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Yeah.
And then there's been numerous ones that they come in there, they go up on other properties, they wreck their mailbox. But what they do is they take off right away, you know, so there's a lot of them that are reported. And they're not gonna stick around if it's, you know, not.
It's a
not
blind
that
curve,
bad.
and it's got the Miracle Mile ahead of it, so a great place to race.
So,
Well, can I make just a question? Please. In the engineer's letter, they looked at the site distance and they said it's 1,400 feet for approaching traffic from north and south. Well, 1,400 feet is well over a quarter mile, so, or about a quarter mile. Am I missing something here? Is there-
From, coming from Bellevue to Springbrook, it would be.
Well, it says site distance at the entrance location was measured in the field by engineer office that site distance is greater than 1,400 feet for approaching traffic from north and south. So if we look at that, the entrance is right there, right? So you've got a quarter mile site distance in both directions. Because it's flat, and I just drove by it, I didn't look at site distance, but it's flat, there's no hills. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm not seeing where's the hazard.
And there is
Well,
a
they
curve
have
there.
their-
Yeah, there is some curve
Been
there.
depth.
Yeah, there's a curve, but
There's a lot of accidents here. Why would that be? They got a curve that goes there. We can't straighten out on that curve and they're going so fast, going straight. And then all of a sudden there's a curve, they end up on our property. And then on Ernest property and, you know, I mean, there's been 2 deaths and I got a picture and the cars come out on this one, they hit our culvert because they can't make that turn right away.
They come
Okay,
out of that
and-
straight stretch way too fast.
well, I understand that, I get that, but I'm trying to correlate that with the fact that they're going to be moving
Additional,
vehicles in and
yeah.
out of there. How do those correlate?
Because they're gonna have to slow down. That driveway isn't that way. I mean, it's not like for 2 lanes of going through there real fast. It's something where someone's gonna have to slow down for all these other vehicles that are gonna come up. And so there's gonna be maybe someone hitting somebody else or something. And I don't know.
Okay,
Additional traffic just provides additional opportunity.
Certainly. Like K's Road, I live on the summer, you can tell when the K's Park opens up.
Right,
But there's street,
It's real busy. Yeah.
my stuff is from down off my hill in the wintertime. There's no way, they've got a blacktop road, if it's icy, they can't stop. They can't stop.
I would
They're
agree,
coming
that
up-
there is enough clearance on both ends as far as seeing.
But the driver isn't, they're coming out of that straight stretch, they're
Come
not
out that
slowing down.
graduate and they come into this curve, they don't realize it.
It's sharper
Three
than
or
what,
four with
what
the
you're
launcher, a couple in
anticipating.
the ditch, and then kind of a tally there.
so all those vehicles coming out, you know, they might not turn, they have no turn or stop for these guys, you know? It's just, it's that.
And just so I can clarify, Mike, you were talking about 4 vehicles leaving in the morning, occasionally coming back random times during the day, then coming back in the evening.
That's right.
4 vehicles. Okay. you're
And I
good.
mean, and we'll probably have a UPS truck
Yeah.
and deliveries throughout the daytime, right? But, yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be like Walmart or something like that.
Right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, you have my letter or our letter, but, okay, so from what I understand, this is being applied as an exception for the home industry, not home occupation. And there are 4 items under that, from what I read in the ordinance. Conducted on a residential premise, inside or adjacent to dwelling or customary structures, carried out by a member of the family residing in the dwelling unit. And clearly secondary to the usage of dwelling unit for residential purposes, produces no offensive noises, etc. To the character of the neighborhood. Okay, very first question, comment. This is the character of the neighborhood, and it will not be that with 2 40 by 60, 40 by 100 foot buildings. I don't know the definition of customary structure. Don't know if the number of structures are limited. Don't know if the square footage of structures are limited. And obviously we heard outdoor storage is allowed. We've heard Meyer Electric has employees, so it's obviously not operated by a family member.
May I help some of the, do you want me to help with some of the clarification on these as you
If
go
don't mind,
through
speak
or
on
not?
mine, speak across.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so, number 1, conducted, your A, conducted on a, residential premise inside or adjacent to the dwelling or customary structures. Well, in that area, customary structure there's a lot of metal pole buildings, steel utility buildings, those type of things, garages, old barns, chicken houses, those would be, something you'd find in that community. Carried on by a member of the family residing in the dwelling unit. Mike would be carrying on that business. The only spot that limits how many employees there can be is in the home. Hang on, I gotta get my words right. My home occupation, that's the one that limits the number of outside employees. So it does not limit in home industry. And your next question was, okay, employees, okay, customary structure. There's currently nothing written in our ordinance about the size or the square footage of the structures or how many there can be. So that, okay, yeah, so I have that down. So Meyer, does have employees. And yes, Mike would be, living in the dwelling. And yes, Mike is the member of the family residing in the dwelling unit.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and addressing the character of the neighborhood, it's currently A. You drive down the road, it's A. This is relocating an existing commercial business operating in a commercially zoned area to an ag area. That, to us, destroys the character of the neighborhood.
We've already lost some land before, same thing. They changed we had ag before, all of a sudden everything came moving, just like we got all those storage sheds that are just down the road. And then also now they got the campsite down. And this thing, they're all a mess. I mean, and then they're gonna have worse parts. I mean, that road's a steep.
But one thing, I visited the neighborhood a couple times, and one thing I noticed is that everyone that seems to live in the area has a metal pole building that's not what I would consider residential or agricultural in nature. I mean, I mean, there's these huge pole buildings there that look very commercially, I'm sure they're not used for commercial purposes, but they're big metal buildings.
But they have to have for agriculture.
Pardon me?
They need the buildings for the agriculture, their tractors and stuff. Everything's huge out there.
Okay, well, I just,
I don't know what you're gonna do about that. That's part of agriculture.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, and Z15 is currently designated as a scenic byway. I don't know, in my opinion, I don't know how adding something that is a commercial.
They keep adding all the way down. I mean, this is the last 3 years that we're getting all these campsites. Here's another one that brought in. Look at how messy that is. And all this commercial stuff is coming in. They got commercial that they go to. Why do they have to do agriculture? We lost land because of the same thing that happened. All these people start moving, changing all of the zoning. And so we end up having to sell our
Our personal experience.
And this is not a change out of A1 zone. This is just a special exception use that would allow, and it would take a zoning change for it to be zone commercial, which is a lot more rigid
He's
than
getting
this.
bigger, all the businesses grow. That thing's gonna be, and then everybody's gonna sit there and say, oh, if they can do it, we can do it. All the way down, that's gonna be the same way. We're gonna keep commercial in there.
It's, to us, it's a foot in the door. That's our opinion. And once you say, okay to one, it's very hard to say anything else to the next one. I also don't know if, more than one exemption can be approved on a parcel. I mean, what's to stop anybody from coming back and getting another exemption to add more buildings?
None of our neighbors want it. Doesn't that mean anything? I mean, we just want some, I mean, it's nice and it's scenic. And all of a sudden, we got something that's gonna grow there, All of a sudden, we got a commercial. What is, why do you have something?
Why?
You can have exceptions to and get all everything beside ag in there.
Even though you don't change the zoning, you're changing the character
Right.
by granting an exception, especially at the size. So that's our opinion. We are not for it. We're not, and not necessarily against Meyer. We would be here for any business who wanted to come in, but this is clearly an established commercial business already operating in a commercial area and wanting to be moved to an ag zone area.
That's one driveway for all three, and be all three of them. And that is gonna be a lot of cars. I don't care what he says for 4 vehicles. These guys.
Well, we respectfully ask for your consideration before you make your decision.
Because it is a lot of neighbors, all of our neighbors say the same thing. We come down here, and then everybody else has to work and, like farmers and stuff. We came down here, we're able to come home, we're able to come home, to voice their, voice their opinion too, and I don't want it. Except for
There were some who felt,
Jason, I don't.
there were some who felt it was a total waste of their time to come before here. We said you gotta at least try.
That was right, so.
Okay, Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else?
Give it back and go. And I agree with Bob. I don't want a business coming out there, because we got a nice peaceful valley right now. And all the neighbors, I just don't want more neighbors out there, and besides they're gonna be using my driveway, which is gonna take more gravel for me, because they're gonna be going in and out. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, I just don't want to spoil what's there. I mean, there's other ground to buy, and the neighborhood looks nice out there right now. I just don't want another big business coming in there and destroying it. And you know as well as I do, somebody sees somebody else come in there, somebody else wants more, hey, he puts another business in there, and where do you draw the line?
You have a question on your comment. He said, if this happens, there's more truck traffic on your driveway and that's more gravel for you.
Yeah.
That-
Right,
Because
exactly.
the
There's gonna be more
state
maintenance, because we
specific-
sure have the maintenance on the lane now.
Okay, but you don't have all the maintenance, you would share the maintenance with
Right.
any new owner, is that correct?
But who's gonna keep the road passable? You can hire anybody to come in and throw some gravel on the road for you and pay half the bill. But we're the ones that have the tractor and the grader and take our time
We do the maintenance.
to keep it clear and keep it passable, that we're not all these chuckles. He puts his driveway, say 5, 6 car lengths up the existing lane, and then he makes his driveway. That's still that much more, and they're gonna have that chucked up and rooted up and all that kind of stuff, and we have to drive over that to get to our place.
But under the easement contract, it still states that you're responsible for half the maintenance of that.
Correct.
We are, yes,
Correct.
And the new
but
owner would
it's,
be
and it's
responsible
like,
for
that's
that.
to us that we shouldn't have
Okay.
with all that traffic.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand what the
Yeah,
contract.
it does say that we are half.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
I'm guessing any new owner
Yeah,
would
I'm not
understand
denying
that, know what their responsibility is.
We make that known to anybody who does
Yeah,
purchase
right.
that ground, that is the way it is, right? And, like I said, the safety issue, and I also would like to know, what do you intend to do with the balance of the acres? I don't want him selling it off to have another business in there.
That's certainly not the board's.
I know, it's not,
That
but
is private property.
that's just where it's gonna keep snowballing though. And then we won't have our night, we moved to the country to be in the country, we don't wanna be amongst all these businesses.
Mr. Meyer, you had a comment on the driveway, I think.
Yeah, and I offer to pay for all of the driveway maintenance. Is that help?
Are you gonna do the maintenance on mine? I'm like I'm saying, more than just put gravel on, are you gonna take the time and keep it smooth?
About the winter time for the snow.
That's all part of it.
Well, I'll be there in the morning, because she leaves to work though, and sometimes I leave early for work.
Okay, so there's a driveway maintenance issue, but again, contractually, there's shared responsibility
Right,
there.
right.
And who does it,
But
how,
again,
that
it's-
can be worked out. Right.
You know, and I've got one more thing to say. At the end of that driveway, there's a little. It's county, but it's a little triangular piece. Of grass. That we chose to keep cut, because the county does not go in there to cut it. And if that grows up in weeds, like it had been in the prior years, you cannot see up the highway if there's anything coming.
Yeah, that's why we keep it.
That's why we keep it cut. so
Keep
we
it
can
trimmed,
see
so
it.
you can see up.
And so anybody going, Dave, you came out of there tonight, and you could see up the highway if there was anything coming or not.
And that's the county's
It
responsibility.
is the county's
Have
responsibility,
you
but
talked to the county about their
we
lack
can't go
of
in there, we
maintenance?
can't go in there. They said they can only go one width of whatever circle that they have, that's it, but they can't go out and cut any further. Because it's too hard on the equipment, really? It's clean. We've got it cleaned out, and it is the county's responsibility, but they don't cut it. And we keep it cut so we can see up the highway, because if we didn't, you wouldn't see up the highway, and it would be more of a hazard than what it is.
Any other comments?
We're not in favor of it.
I'm not in favor.
Okay,
I have one more. That map is the line that goes across the driveway out to our driveway. that is not part of the parcel.
Could you show me what you're actually talking about?
Right where you got your cursor,
Right where I have my cursor
over to the gravel lane,
over to
our lane,
your lane?
Yeah.
Okay.
that little triangle wedge there is what Joyce was talking about, I believe.
Right.
So, okay, when you talked to Ruth the other day, and when I got back to the office, I went ahead and pulled that survey.
Mhm.
And, I looked at it, I could see where Peg and Jim's easement went across on the survey. You know, where this went on this side of on the south side of the, property line. And, I could see that on it, but I gave the survey to Janelle in the assessor's office. She does the GIS mapping. She retraced it with, with the landmarks, with the corner certs, and drew around this parcel and this parcel. And actually, she was kind of surprised because everything fell into place really well, which some of these older plats, they don't always fall in that well. So she felt pretty confident that that was correct.
Go to the FSA office.
Yeah, I don't use their records, unfortunately. And have you guys done a retracement or a new survey on it too? So you think you own the lane?
No, we do not own the lane.
Okay, so can you point
It
it
goes-
here
our-
to help me figure out
Yeah.
what?
Our line goes right alongside the lane.
So you're thinking it should be more like, let me just do it. So you're thinking it should be more like this?
Yeah, that's how it is. You go to the FSA office, look at all
Okay.
their maps. It's been that way for 20 years when we
Okay.
purchased it.
So you're thinking it's wider than it is. I'm gonna ask about, because that won't hurt him as far as, well, he, unless he thinks he has that piece and he doesn't. But if you'd want to contact Janelle in the assessor's office and kind of talk to her, and if, she can't make it fit the way you think it needs to fit, you guys can talk about some of the recourse that you might need to do or what, because she did measure around this and she was very confident with the way things fell into place. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle.
What's her last name?
Her name, well, Janelle, Bartles.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 652-4935.
All right, any other comments?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So we're asking that it doesn't happen.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments from people in the gallery?
Oh, let me check Zoom. No, only us. That's why we have Ruth.
Been pretty quiet from Zoom.
Yes.
All right, if no other comments from the gallery or the board, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
My neighbor Bill Ricecover is not in favor of it either. He couldn't make it tonight because he had a prior commitment.
Okay, thank you.
I move we close the public hearing.
I'll second. Okay, any other comments, any other thoughts? All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, board consideration. I want to go back to this document as a record of accidents.
Yes, I requested that from the law center this morning. After reading Brent and Jenna's letter, they went back to January 1st, 2013. And what I asked them to query out is 1050s on 362nd Avenue that were not car deer related. And this is what they came up with. And two of them, and I used the addresses that were on here to kind of know where they were in relationship to the subject property. So there was two that I identified in 2000. Oh, actually, I identified two, but they were, the same day, within 3 minutes, no, same day, two different accidents. One was at 5 AM and one was like,
3:25.
yeah, thank you. I don't do that well in my head, so, but yes, there was two in one day. One was just north of Clarence, a little bit, and the other one was, by Brent's, so that would have been two. The bulk of them were, 362nd and Highway 52, 362nd, 407th were a lot of them. And then a little further down by, or further up by Gene Jones's, down by Nick Kilberg's farm, and Jake up north by Jake Posters. But there was only two that I could identify that were within a half a mile of that driveway.
Thank you. Comments, thoughts on board? Mr. Meyer, I do have one question I should ask before, but I asked you, why this property, you currently have a piece of property somewhere where you're storing your trucks and your parts and all that. That obviously,
No, I don't own anything. I rent a building in town.
oh, okay, that's.
We rent it for 27 years.
Okay. And you want to discontinue renting, build a house, put buildings up, so you can move that operation out there.
But you've also tried to buy the building where you are too,
And been unsuccessful.
and not been successful then.
Someone, or Pete, any thoughts?
I'd like to see it.
I didn't hear what he said.
I'd like to see it. I mean, actually, go view it.
Yeah, so do you want to table it or what? For action or?
Well, we've done that in the past when we weren't sure what the property looks like or what the impact could be.
And Dave, you do, and
I've
Mike, you do.
Visited it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen it, so if you think it's important to go actually physically see it, and once I drove by it, it does give you a different perspective. The first thing that hit me is the big sloping up the hill piece of property, which, as I mentioned, is there any flat ground on that? Well, you're gonna have to make a lot of flat ground, it sounds like. As far as another thing, there are no trees along that driveway. Is that a consideration to, again, from a, not blockading what the neighbors see, but into Great Barrier? That's something that was thought about in your planning here.
We could do something like that.
But if you're putting almost, your intention is to put all your equipment inside or eventually all inside buildings. Would be similar to a farm with tractors and combines inside a building. Okay. Well, back to your comment, you think it's important for you to go view it before you can make a decision, you want to make a motion? Table this until you can see it, or what are your thoughts? Darryl, Dave, any thoughts?
Well, I can see all sides of the argument. To me, the slope of the land is a little bit worrisome. To be changing the nature of the neighborhoods, you know, I can see that issue, but I can also see all the metal buildings in the neighborhood that some of them are non-agricultural, so but I can also appreciate Mike's perspective that there's no commercial land in Bellevue to build on either.
Doesn't the city of Bellevue have some south of?
Yeah, what about that
Yeah,
ground
what
south
about
of
that?
town?
Agree?
That ground south of town on 52 that they bought, how many years ago?
That the city wants to turn into a housing development.
That's the industrial area.
I don't know, you talked to the city about that, Mike?
It's being annexed into the city, and I think the understanding is for residential development.
And will never pay taxes ever.
I don't know about that.
I guess, yeah, if we want to delay the action, look at it, again, I don't know.
Harold, any thoughts?
Well, the buildings he's talking about are similar buildings you're gonna find all over the county in ag zoning. So I don't see that being a problem. As far as the traffic and the lane and that's all gonna have to be worked out. Between the parties. We have a lot of there's similar, in my area, there's several similar farmers, what have you, out in the country, they build it all brand new.
Ed?
But if they want, if he wants to take a look at it and table it until next meeting, I'm okay with that too.
No, I don't think we need to.
All right. I think it sounds like we need to make a decision tonight. And I'm of the same opinion as Dave. I live in the county out more by the caves. I see all kinds of metal buildings that are on paid property. There are some businesses along there, so I've seen that happen. I've seen new housing developments happen along Caves Road. So I guess it's part of the growth of the county. The property, yeah, I think you're gonna have some challenges with some costs involved in creating some level spots, but that's just moving dirt, a lot of it. The issues with the driveway, certainly I think that would be have to work out with the neighbors. Who's actually paying for the maintenance, who's plowing snow, all that, but I'm assuming civil discussions could happen around who's responsible for what, sharing the cost. So as far as the accidents along the road, I drive Cape Road every day, and it's a lot curvier than that one. And I don't see that many accidents, so there's a listing of them in over 8 years now. There's a few accidents there.
Actually, they queried from January 1 of 13 to 6/26/23.
Yeah.
But of course, they didn't have anything in 13 and 14 that made this list. Remember, I had them query out Cartier, so they weren't counting those.
Okay. All right.
Lori, do you know when Felon Wall got killed?
I looked it up. It was 2003 or 8. Hang on here. Let me look it up because I know it was
The
recently.
drag racing accident
Yes,
involving the long girl,
yes.
that was probably 2003.
That's what I'm thinking, because I just looked it up. One of her friends had made a tribute recently to her. I can find it in a second. There it is.
That's kind of an anomaly though, in that
2003.
Is there adequate signage on that road announcing the curves coming up? I'll slow down any speed limits.
Who's those speed limits posted?
Yeah, okay.
Well,
So,
55.
yeah, but I mean, if it's a sharp curve, generally they'll have a curve sign so you know to slow down, but people, with cars,
When you
That's
come up that
45,
straight
they
stretch,
come at 80.
that corner comes up on you, boom, right now.
Yeah, it comes too fast.
Catches you.
Okay,
Like I said, if the weeds aren't cut, you cannot see up, you can't see to the south or towards the water if the weeds are not cut.
well, do we have a motion? Any other comments? Anybody make a motion?
I move we defer action till the July meeting.
And the motion is to defer action until the July meeting. And just to clarify, Dave, is that to gather new information or?
Gather the information, inspect the property, and get further information. I'm not tabling it.
Right, no, I know.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to, for action to the July meeting, so that you have more information, maybe do additional site visits, take a look at the property. And a second, any other discussion on that?
There's no second, it dies, so let it die.
Well, there wasn't.
Pete.
Oh, he seconded it. Any other discussion?
So we're gonna come back and go through all this again in July.
We can probably do the abbreviated version. If you guys want any work from us and help, I mean, if there's something, information you want us to help gather, let us know and we can have what you need. I mean, but of course, if you're feeling you need to go out and physically look at the property with Mike, that's, that's too, but if there's something you need from us, let us know and we'll try to help you get what you're asking for.
Okay. We have a motion to defer to July, a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. The motion carries. We will be continuing into July. That will give us some time to go out and do some additional site visits. I will get back out there and take a harder look now and some more details around some of the particulars, especially in the driveway and the slopes. Take a look at the property. And Mr. Meyer, it sounds like there might be some property in the Bellevue area as part of the city, but they're talking maybe residential only. Maybe it's worth a phone call to see is it available.
There hasn't been any surveys or splits come through and it's not completely annexed to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Very good.
But I don't always know everything.
So if we go out there, we need to go individually,
No more than 2.
right?
Yeah,
We
because you
get
can't,
access to walk up there or drive up in there, or what's the access gonna be? As far as permission,
Yeah, I mean,
do you need to get it from Ben Driblin
I
or
can call
from?
Bob and just make sure it's okay.
Okay.
so we need to call him and get permission first, or?
Or if you want to arrange it through me and you guys can coordinate through me instead of Mike if you
Yeah,
want.
that's what it does.
Okay,
And
A group be out there then? There's 2 of us.
you can go in 2s, but you can't go in 3s.
We'd like to know when someone's coming up the road, that they're not just scoping our place out or what's happening.
Do you want me to go with you guys?
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Okay. They'd be with me, Peg, and they'd have a red car. I'd have a red car and we wouldn't come all the way down your lane. We'd stay where his access is.
People come up and they turn around, you want.
I can call you.
You
I can call you. I have your number. I'll call you.
No, that's fine. As long as we know
You
who's
just send
coming
me a
up.
text, Lori, that'll be fine.
Okay,
That's all I gotta do,
Yeah.
just so we know who's coming up.
okay.
Thanks, Lori.
Okay. The motion carries, to be continued in July.
Deferred action until July.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your patience on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Lori, when's your meeting in July?
It is the fourth Monday. Hang on, let me pull the calendar real fast. And we already have a couple of cases on the July docket, just so you guys
That's
know.
what I thought.
Yeah, it's the 24th
Right.
at 7 p.m., same location. And, what do we have, 3, 2?
This will be 3.
Okay, this will be 3. And we will move this, well, I don't know if I want to move this to the top or put it at the bottom. I just hate if the other ones are all fast and easy, I hate to make them wait. We'll have to look and see what we have. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, so then it might just be a draw, and just throw you guys back up at the top. Okay,
Right.
they've been here once, put them at the top.
All right, any other issues? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You want these back or put these in the permanent record or? Okay, we'll just put them in the permanent record then.
I can add them to them.
Give you all this back.
So,
And you'll inform Abby about what's going on.
Yeah, I'll send her,
Okay. Thanks.